And here we are with another episode of Saturday Morning Cereal.
Good morning!
Yay! We made it through another week. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. Man, we got some rain and stuff out here this week.
Did we ever?
Yeah.
And we have a moat now.
Well, there was a moat the other day.
Yeah.
It's starting to drain away now, but it's still squishy out there. And so,
yep.
So any of the stuff that we're doing around the shop, it's kind of tough to track back and forth from the house. So,
well, good morning.
Well, look, it looks like we got Dave joining us again. Hey, Dave, what's going on, man?
Hey.
Let's see.
There's
Heather.
There's Heather.
Yeah. Glad you guys could join us again. Thanks for
good morning,
dropping
you guys.
In. We haven't had our Saturday morning cereal yet. Vicky and I are doing special breakfast and stuff later, so we're going to do some cooking, scrambled eggs and bacon and stuff like that after the show.
And waffles.
And waffles. So, oh yeah, that's right. In the morning, I'm making waffles.
That's right. After the show, I'm making waffles.
That's right. So we'll be doing that. But yeah, today's a big day for us. We got a lot of stuff going on this afternoon. A lot of house stuff. Gonna put some ceiling fans together and put those up, and cabinet stuff and all that. So we're doing that at the house.
Yeah, and it sounds like, we're putting up ceiling fans, but what you gotta realize is these ceiling fans have been sitting in the boxes since over a year ago.
Was it a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we got them in the spring and to put up before July last year, and it's like, and they're still not up.
Oh, cool. Heather's working on Kai some more. Well,
yay.
Looking forward to seeing some pictures of that.
Man, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, but she's going to be really cool. So, yeah. Hopefully you guys will, some of the other guys will be doing hobby stuff today too. I don't know where, we're probably not going to be doing any casting today because, hey, we're out of resin. So.
Yeah, we got to get resin on Monday.
Yeah. I had we'll talk about that because we're gonna cover a little bit of stuff about the Kickstarter stuff this week, and then we'll talk about Savage World some more, and then I'll show you guys some more sculpting previews. This is what we've got coming up in the show today. So Dave's got his coffee, and he's experimenting with new magnets under bases.
Vinyl sheets and storage tub.
That's interesting. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So no thoughts about putting LEDs or whatever in bases and stuff. I don't know, or batteries and that kind of thing. I'm sure that if you're doing magnets, that you'd be able to put batteries and stuff in there for lighting and things like that. But that's some stuff that I wanted to work
storage and transport all in one. Okay, neat.
Okay, cool.
Cool
yeah. All right.
idea.
Well, you'll have to send us, or post pictures of that because I'd like to see that. That's cool.
I guess to help hold everything steady so it doesn't rattle around and sustain damage or something.
Yeah, that
would
makes sense.
Be bad.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, well, and there's some storage and actually transport solutions that we talked about in some of the earlier shows about getting our scenery and stuff to the shows that we're going to be taking. So we'll probably have to be looking at some of that stuff here too in the next couple of weeks because we're going to the show.
Because we're going to Texas RPG, North Texas RPG.
North Texas RPG Con, yeah.
North Texas RPG Con.
Right.
And are we going to talk about that now?
What?
Since we're talking about it, can we talk about it?
Well, we can, but I mean, I've got some graphics and stuff that I'm going to put up here in just a minute.
Okay.
But
I'll wait for the graphics.
But the first thing that I want to talk about is it's May now. Okay, so we've already had a whole week in May, right? That we've missed. I've missed out on the first week of May because this is stuff that we were going to post, like Monday or whatever, and we just posted it yesterday. But
Oh, well, yeah, because we've had technical difficulties with the store platform.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. And trying to get the thing to work. And it's like, the more that we try to do cool promo things with BigCommerce on our web store, the more I wish we had switched over to Shopify. But anyway, that's beside the point. The thing about it is we got we got it working, and here's what's going on with the web store. Okay, the first of all, the thing that I wanted to mention was the military combo special. Okay, the military team combo special is $30, and you're going to get Tilly and Betty and Kalessa and Shrapnel and Flak, or Flak and Shrapnel, however, whichever one you want to list first.
And the German Shepherd.
And what is it the German Shepherd?
It's the German Shepherd.
Okay. Because it looks like a golden retriever, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, hey, I didn't get the saddle and markings dark enough.
Okay, all right. Well,
but it's a German Shepherd.
Okay. Well, regardless of that, you get all.
They can paint them however they want.
Yeah, I'm sure that.
They can paint it that way, and then maybe it doesn't look like a golden retriever because the ears are all wrong.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know if anybody that's going to...
It's got perky up ears like a German Shepherd, not a floppy over ears like a golden retriever.
Well, hey, let me tell you what, though. I mean, German Shepherds would have floppy over ears, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, there's certain breeds, they clip the ears or whatever.
Dobermans would have floppy over ears.
Or don't the ears, perk up, Or maybe I don't know.
Yeah, no, German Shepherds, I don't think you clip their ears.
No,
so, yeah.
You don't.
Okay, well, anyway, enough about dog ears, but but anyway, so Vicky put this combo together, and it's good all month. Through May the 31st, you can get these for $30. This little set, and typically it's $45. The other thing that we want to talk about is the Free Babes promo that we're doing, and this is going to be ongoing. So we're going to start it now. And it's not going to end at the end of May, so this is just going to be kind of an ongoing thing where it's like, if you get $50, if you order $50 or more, you can pick one of these miniatures. There's 20 different babes that we're going to offer on this, and
as time goes by, the selection may change.
Yeah, they'll rotate out.
Yeah, so it won't always be the same 20, but like this month it'll be these 20, and then maybe we'll change it next month or whatever.
Yeah. So as we kind of go through the inventory and stuff, we'll kind of rotate those around. But anyway, so that's what we're doing. So you're going to get that. But the bonus is that, well, if you order $25 or more, you can pick out one of these 10 sidekicks. Okay, and so the question is well, if I get the $50. And I get the free babe.
You get a sidekick and a babe.
You get a sidekick and a babe.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the cool thing, and we don't really have a way for you to pick it from a drop-down menu or a thing like that. So
unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work that way. Okay, so if you get the thing, it'll automatically put it in your cart and tell you, hey, you're going to get a free babe, or you're going to get a free sidekick, or both. Okay, but in the comment section when you get ready to check out in the web store, just go ahead and tell us which one of these you want.
Or they're selected at random.
Yeah, right. We'll just put one in there.
We'll put them in there. But if people don't tell us in the comments which one they want, it'll be a random chosen one.
Right, and Vicky's pretty good about figuring out, hey, if you ordered a bunch of fantasy things, you're probably going to get fantasy measures.
I kind of try to cue in on that stuff. Yeah. It's like, ooh, I got, somebody ordered all sci-fi stuff. I'll try to put sci-fi stuff in there.
Right.
But if you want something in particular, just let me know.
Yeah. So we'll be doing that throughout May and ongoing. So check that periodically. And let's see. We sent the email out yesterday. Okay, so everybody that's a subscriber on the email, you'll have gotten this. But I think I haven't posted it over on Facebook yet. So anyway, but these will be in circulation, so you'll see those. And they're posted over on the web store, so you can see the graphic, on the banner and stuff when you go to the web store.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to kind of talk about is our STL files. We have migrated, first of all, I migrated all of the STL files over from the Patreon thing over to my Mini Factory. Okay, and that happened a few months ago, and we got all that stuff set up. Okay, so now I've migrated the rest of the files that we had from our web store over to my Mini Factory so that we've got kind of one centralized place. Okay, so before we were having to kind of spread our STL files out to where it's it's Patreon, and then you get them from the Dropbox, and then I put them in the web store, and then even though we have STL files still in the web store that's related to our Kickstarter pledge manager stuff, okay, if you've bought STL files from us before, or if you backed our Kickstarter projects and it's like, well, you've got STL files with that, you're still going to be able to get those from your order history. Okay, so like, if you haven't downloaded them, or if you need to download them again, your computer crashed, I don't want to even mention that because that's a horrible thing. But anyway, if you need to download them again, you can just go back to your order history and go back, log in, go to orders, and then you'll be able to click on that order, and there's still a link in there, and you'll still be able to download the STL files. Okay. But as far as like purchasing STL files, if you want to purchase new ones or all the new ones that we're going to put out that are coming up, and I've got some previews to show you guys at the end of the show for like some of the new sculpts. That's all going to be over on My Mini Factory, and we're kind of doing that as sort of a little centralized place, so that in the event that I'm able to start up the tribes thing over there at some point again, and I say if because it's like I don't know when that's going to be, but Vicky and I are going to talk about that and kind of see how we can work that out. But anyway, it'll all be over there. So it's like, well, you can do the tribes thing, or you can, or we'll just put the new releases, our digital files over on My Mini Factory. The other news that they had this week, they made an announcement that, and I don't remember, the name escapes me, but I posted it over on our Bombshell Facebook group, page, and they purchased, My Mini Factory purchased the 3D print on demand company. Okay, so I guess what they're trying to do is merge that to where it's like, well, if you buy an STL file from My Mini Factory, then you can opt to have it 3D printed through the company that they just bought, and they will ship you the 3D print. So even if you don't have a 3D printer, you can still have stuff printed on demand, and it's all going to be like in one pipeline. Okay, so that was super cool to me because I know that there's a lot of folks that are over in the UK or Australia or whatever that the shipping charges are outrageous now, and they want to get our figures. They want to get the little helmet parts and that sort of thing. And if you download those STL files, you can actually have My Mini Factory print those out for you and ship them to you, like from where you are. So let's see. Can we have? Let's see. Popped up in the chat. Can we have previous STL purchases migrated to our My Mini Factory account? Yes. Okay, and that's going to be on a case-by-case basis. So if you have STL files, let me see if I can... There may be a way for me to batch that out. So let me do a little bit of research on how I can export that from our web store. But yes, on an individual basis, I can look through your order history, and then I'll just need for you to send me an email to support@bombshellminis.com and give me your email address for the account that you have on My Mini Factory, so that I can make sure that I link your files to the correct account over there. So yeah, it's the short answer on that is yes. So, but anyway, so the big news about the My Mini Factory thing is, it's like now that we've sent our files over there, everything's on sale this month for 50% off. Half price, everything's half priced. But you want to use the coupon code AtomicMay as a coupon code. So when you check out over on My Mini Factory, put AtomicMay in the coupon code section, and you'll get 50% off your order over there. So anyway, that's what I wanted to cover, kind of starting out. And then the other stuff that we're going to talk about is the progress on the scout ship stuff, right? So because we did some scout ship stuff this week.
Yeah.
So, and we sent out
about half this batch.
Right. And just to give you guys an idea, when we talk about, like, we're sending out 12 packages of stuff at a time. So like if I'm casting 12 scout ship kits, this is kind of what we're having to go through. Okay, so these are all of the molds that I have that are sitting idle for the scout ship kit. Okay, so I've got all of these white trays that you see here. Those are all scout ship stretch goal items and molds. In the upper right hand corner over this way. Those 4 big molds that you see right there, those are all the hull pieces. That's the front nose of the ship and the back end of the ship itself. And so those are pretty heavy. I have 3 sets of those, so that's like 12 molds altogether. And every time that I run a batch of those, it gives me 3 sets of hulls for the ship. And then these are hull extension molds, like the weapon module and all of that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And so, and we'll talk about the war rocket next. But anyway, so like when we're running a batch of those, all of those individual trays go through the process. So some of them I'll get 6 parts out of a batch of molds out of a tray, and sometimes I will get 1, depending on what the part is and all that sort of thing. So we were looking at sending out another batch of like 12 kits that have the core ship kit, and then the 5 different bundles of stretch goals included in it, and then however many hull modules that they have. So it's either the extension module or the weapons module or the passenger or whatever they've ordered, plus if they've gotten strafers or thunder bikes or any of that type of stuff. So all of that stuff has to be cast and added on. And
I think the heaviest package that we sent out from this batch so far was 10 pounds.
10 pounds, yeah. And that's all like resin, and resin's pretty light. So, I mean, you can imagine how much stuff
these are big boxes that are full of stuff.
Right. So as we're going through it, and it's kind of a weird thing that it's like the further along that we go and the more stuff that we create molds for and add on, the bigger the bundles of stuff get, so that it's like, well, when we say we've sent out, 4 or 5 packages, there's a ton of stuff in that. It's like, and some people have ordered, 2 or 3 scout ship kits that go in there.
One fella that I think I'm sending that out next week. He ordered 4 scout ship sets.
Yeah.
Plus, I think there's 4 different modules, so he ordered 1 each of each different module. So I think he's going to make, I don't know, but I mean, I guess he's going to make, 4 different ships.
4 different versions of the ships,
a passenger ship and a weapon ship and a extended ship and a cargo ship.
Right, so, with all the different options that you can get.
He's going to have a bunch of ships. That's what I
It's a bunch of ship. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've been casting through that and packaging it up and trying to get it ready. So it's just it's an inordinate, massive amount of stuff.
Yeah. See, so, Dave, you're in the final batch with the war rockets. So yeah, because the war rocket's the last thing for us to make. So
right. So everything that that's not the war rocket, we have molds for it, we've cast, and so and we got down to like five orders before I ran out of resin, and I was like, well, I got to order some more resin in order to cast the rest of these little modules to send out those last few orders. And it was everything that has been, all the orders that have been placed that did not include a war rocket in them. And then once we get those out, then
and that should be next week.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go.
I should be able to wrap that up next week.
Right, so I'm going to go and pick up some more resin on Monday, and then we'll
get the remaining modules. I think we have like 5 Alani drives we got to run, and 3 hull modules, and 4 weapon modules, and then I'll have all the stuff, and then I can send those last 5 orders out, and then we'll be down to the war rocket orders.
Right.
Woo-hoo!
Right.
And I am so glad.
I am too. I'll be glad to get this kit done, and I'm looking forward to that. So what I'm showing here is like, this is the front end of the war rocket ship, and this is what I'm talking about by the digital engineering. Okay, so I had put the ship together and done kind of the preliminary sculpt to kind of show you on the Kickstarter project. It's like, okay, well, here's what the thing's going to look like, so you know. But like all of the little detail parts that have to be constructed for me to actually print them so that they'll fit together as a kit. Well, that still all has to be done. So, for example, like on this, the picture that I'm showing here is like there's a big spike coming out of the nose cone of the front of the ship, and so I have to cut the little opening on there in order to put the front spike on there. And then down here where the landing gear is, it's like, well, you see the landing gear is just poking out of the bottom of the hull. So I have to put the little module inside of that and cut the opening in that for the landing gear to fit in before I can actually export that hull part for molding. So the same is true with the dorsal fin. The dorsal fin, I got to check to make sure that those connection points will fit correctly on the hull and will be glued on there. And what's that?
Oh, I'm just laughing because I read in the chat. Dave said it'd be like William Wallace at the your freedom.
Oh, that's happening. That's happening. I'm gonna
feel like that because we'll finally be able to move forward with so many other things we've got, going on that we want to get to.
Yeah, right. Because once I get the war rocket done, I am going to paint my face blue and put my kilt on and run around out in the yard and yell freedom back and forth. So, yeah.
I'll film that so y'all can see.
Right. And then I'm going to drink a lot of scotch. But anyway, so and then here on the fin section, okay, like the wing or whatever on the side of the ship, I want to make sure that the curvature of that fits the curvature of the hull section that it's supposed to be glued onto. And then this will have to be cast in two parts. So I've already created a little seam with rivets and stuff on there. So that's where you'll glue those together. But that has to be actually cut and keyed. And then I've got to make sure that those parts fit back, so that when they're cast, that you can assemble them and they'll fit correctly. So anyway, that's what I still have to do. When I talk about digital engineering, that's the type of thing that I'm talking about. So that's going to take a while to go through some of those parts and stuff and get those set up and then print them out. And then once we get the prints done, then we can make our set of molds. And I think we're just doing one set of molds for that. And we'll just run through them.
Yeah, in order to casting all the other stuff.
In order to save materials and so forth. So.
Because that's going to use a lot of silicone.
Mm-hmm. Pixar, it didn't happen.
Yeah, Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Counterblast, right? Because you've done some more Counterblast stuff this week.
Oh, yeah.
On the,
okay. Let me go to my picture. Okay. So, what?
Well, this is okay. You've got you said that you were working on the powers of the deep, right?
Yeah. Last week.
In our last episode.
Yeah, in our last episode, I think we talked about like some Counterblast specific edges that we come up with, and when I say Counterblast specific, all I mean is it's stuff that I've come up with for Counterblast. A lot of these things. Several of them you could probably use in other settings if you wanted to. So that's just kind of up to the GMs and the players and everything. But this will touch on one thing we talked about in particular last week. We talked about we have edges where traits in Savage Worlds can ultra ace, and just kind of a quick going over on that. In Savage Worlds, if you're not familiar, when you roll your trait dice, I don't know, I can't remember which instances if wild die can, Dave, you probably know, do wild die ace in Savage Worlds? I think maybe they do, or in certain instances they do. But
was that what you were going to check on?
No, it was something else. I should have checked on that, I guess. My bad. Sorry about that. But for just a regular acing is you roll the maximum, the highest number on the die you're rolling, then you get to roll it again and add that total to your, add that amount to your total. And Ultra Ace means you get to do that if it's the next highest number as well as the highest number. And pretty much every instance, I believe every instance of Ultra Acing, you can't do it unless you at least have a D8 and something. So anyway, so the way, for those of you that aren't familiar with how Savage Worlds Core treats magic or mystical powers or, whatever you want to call it in your setting that you're playing in, they have these different edges that the player or the creature or being has to have called arcane backgrounds. And the way Savage Worlds Core is set up, there's a bunch of different ones. And a lot of y'all, if you're familiar with like D&D and all that kind of stuff, and I'm sure most of you are.
What's D&D?
I'm going to... Excuse me while I whack him upside the head. There's all different kinds of schools of magic. There's illusion, there's alteration, there's evocation, necromancy, and so on and so forth.
Can you list all of them?
No, okay. Probably not. But anyway, in Counterblast, it doesn't quite work that way. Regardless of who's doing the magic or the mystical power or whatever, everybody's drawing on the same cosmic forces of the multiverse and in Counterblast. So there's only one arcane background, and that's the deep. So the trait you use to activate your powers, depending on how you approach it, is called Deep Connection. And the differences are the ways the different species or whatever approach using those powers. Or, So, like, in Counterblast, the Shrenar, as far as PCs go, the Shrenar, Neiran Exiles, and the Allanti subrace, the Paisai, can use the Deep. Edo and cyber forms of the mechas can also use the Deep, but those are generally not PC characters. So, we'll kind of touch on what they do, though. Illyrians and humans, you're probably thinking, well, what about the Illyrians and the humans? And it's like, well, they aren't really known for using magic or mystical forces. That's not to say that if you're dead set on that and your GM's cool with it, that you could have a player like that. That's one of the things I really like about Savage Worlds. They make it very easy to kind of make allowances for unusual kind of situations and adjustments. I think most rule systems you can do that, but Savage Worlds is very much like, these are guidelines. These are more like guidelines.
They're not actually rules. They're more like guidelines.
So it's kind of up to the GMs and the players to kind of figure out how best to use the rule structure to help them have fun and play, tell the stories they want to tell and have the characters and players in it that they want to have. And I think that's awesome. So, let's see. The one thing in particular that's kind of different from Savage Worlds Core is that all the player characters, regardless of species, unless you're playing something unusual, that would be different. But as it's written, all of them use spirit for their attribute, for the deep. And Mechas and Edo use smarts. So GMs need to kind of be aware of that. And we'll go down here. Y'all can probably read along with me. But I guess we'll go. I've got some new Counterblast edges that are power edges. Deep attunement. There's certain requirements for that, but that allows that means the heroes naturally attune to the deep, and deep connection dice rolled by this character. Oh, hey, yeah, May Ultra Ace, like we were talking about. Then there's deep medium. Once per game session, the character may spend a Benny to regain 10 power points. And there's power edges in Savage Worlds Core that does let you regain power points in different ways, but not like that. And usually some of them is just 5, so that's kind of a cool thing. Deep Thoughts, once per game session, the character can select any power and use it for double the normal power points cost. And yes, that's any power. Whether they've got because for y'all, those of y'all who aren't familiar, in Savage Worlds, you kind of have to have the rank to use a power, and you have to know it. You select them. So this would let you choose any power, regardless of what your rank is, what the rank's power the rank required by the power, and so on. So, Deep Tracker. This is the being or creature can sense deep powers and those connected to the deep. So,
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something GMs can give beasties and other NPCs and stuff, and it's like, somebody's over here doing some interesting stuff, and I'm gonna go check it out. So the other thing is Focus Mind, and that means you get to roll advantage dice for deep connection, and that would be just your trait die. It wouldn't include your wild die.
Your focus needs more focus.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Now, see, if I was going to create a character that was a psychic type of character in this, I think that one of the powers that my character would need is Deep Fried.
No.
so that it's like, so that any Ito that he came across, he could actually turn it into calamari and deep fry it.
Well, there you go.
And it's
and you would have to have like panko or something,
right? Yeah, you have
throw
to
panko at it.
You've got to keep it in a pouch, like at all times, where you can just throw it.
Just throw panko on them and cast your spell, and there you go. Okay, I kind of like that idea actually.
Okay, that may be a thing. I don't know. That'll be in the next April. The first thing that we do is deep fried tempura.
Tempura.
Yeah.
Deep tempura.
Deep fried could be a hindrance.
Okay, but what about the power edges that are already in Savage Core? There's a little bit of difference with some of that. In Counterblast, anybody can take extra effort, new powers, obviously, power points for sure, power surge, rapid recharge, and the improved rapid recharge, soul drain. But
now, are those existing things, or
yes, these over here on the right of the graphic already exist in Savage Worlds Core. So but anybody can choose those regardless. Artificer, Gadgeteer down at the bottom. I'm kind of jumping around. I apologize. Artificer, Gadgeteer, and Wizard are not available. Channeling is an edge only Shrinar can take. Concentration is an edge only Alanti Paisai can take. And Holy and Holy Warrior, I guess the Neiran would think Holy Warrior. And that's something only the Neiran can take. And then Ito can take Mentalist. So
that all makes sense.
So it's kind of neat how it worked out, because all those edges were like, well, that kind of sounds like how these people would approach this, and these people would approach this. So it kind of worked out.
It gives each one of the species a specific kind of a flavor that it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, they kind of approach their psychic abilities or psionic or whatever you want to call it a particular way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where the difference is.
Right. And specifically for the Neiran, it's a cultural thing. It's like it's how they train.
Yeah, well, it's very much a cultural, religious, because it's all about their worship of their deity Aoth.
Right.
And so that's kind of how they look at drawing on those powers. And Alani are a lot more pragmatic in their approach, and the Shrenar is more druidic. Actually, it's more their connection to nature.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
And then, of course, the Edo, it's all about brain.
Right.
So,
Right.
and
brain.
Note
what is
that,
brain?
Yeah. Note that mechas do not have specific edge, because accessing these powers is really kind of an odd thing for them. It really kind of goes against their programming and their belief, but mechas have had to integrate cyber forms into their culture because they need to have a means to combat other species that use these powers. So, fight fire with fire.
Mm-hmm.
So that has kind of forced them into developing and creating cyber forms. So
yeah, and the mechas, as robots, well, they're first of all, as robots, they're not going to have any access to psionic powers and stuff anyway.
Mm-mm.
Okay, but the cybernetic versions of the mechas, like where they've gone in and integrated, or assimilated that organic material, where they've got a brain core, or like the siren have they're like fully cyborg like, and Dr. Zardov to a certain degree. Now, I don't think that Dr. Zardov as a character has psionic abilities. It's not to say that you couldn't put some on him, because he does have the brain stuff to where it's like, well, you can do that. But Brandon was asking for another explanation for focused mind. So if you kind of go over that again.
Oh, Brandon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Focused mind.
Focused mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you very seldom roll a trait die. That's not true.
What?
Haven't used any abilities, so. Focus mind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, advantage roll. Focus mind, you're rolling advantage, which I don't think Savage Worlds Core, they use advantage in it, but Counterblast does make use of advantage or disadvantage, and all that means is if you roll advantage for something, you get to roll 2 of those die and take the highest number. So, like, if you had advantage for deep connection and you had a D10, so you'd roll your D10, and as a PC, you also get to roll a wild die, which is a D6. But if you have focus mind and you roll advantage, you get to roll 2 D10 and a D6 and take whatever the highest one is from those 3 die. And if you're rolling disadvantage, it's kind of the opposite. You roll those same die and you have to take the lowest number of the 2 trait die. Or the wild die if it's, well, I guess you just have to take the lowest number of the 2 trait die.
Right.
And then if the wild die is higher, I guess you could still go with that. So.
Right. And he was mentioning also that it's to make sure to include advantage, disadvantage as a setting rule. And it's like, well,
it is.
It is. We just kind of skimmed the surface of like the setting rules and stuff in the last episode. It's not everything that's in in the book. It's like we're just kind of hitting the highlights.
Yeah, I'm sorry if that's not clear, y'all.
Yeah.
What we're talking about as far as the rules and what we're looking at for Counterblast Savage Worlds, this is just a little piece
preview
of it.
Yeah.
It's not by any means all inclusive of everything, and that's that will be listed in there for sure. So.
And then Dave was asking, it's like, are powers prohibited for humans or limited because they've had little exposure to the deep or training in psionic abilities? And my short answer to that would be no, they're not prohibited. I mean, but
no, it's just that they're not. People of Earth have not been using these abilities, or up to this point, they haven't really known about or used these abilities. Maybe they did, way back in the day, and then as they got into more modern times, that kind of went away, and people quit believing in mysticism and magic and everything. But who knows? As they're exposed to people who make use of these powers, that might start to become more common and more prevalent. So
and then there's also the consideration for Faz Jin that's out there. So it's like, well, we don't know at this point, or I mean, we're probably not at liberty to say what the effects Faz Jin would have on humans were they, have the opportunity to take some of that. So, but anyway, so that's a possibility too. So that's why I wouldn't really rule that out. It's like, well, there's all kinds of stuff in the fluff and in the background that kind of will drive what you'll be able to do, and so that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to say, no.
Well, yeah,
because that would be like saying, like, well, you can't have Drow as a player character, and it's like, well, there's a they fixed that.
Right.
So it's a similar thing to me.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Is that the rules allow, they're flexible enough to allow people to make those, hey, I want to play a human that does know how to connect to the deep. Maybe they studied with Alani Paisai and they started learning how to do it. And it's like, hey, that's cool. I think that's definitely a possibility, and you could certainly use the rule system to do that. It's just that with the setting, that would be really uncommon. That's just not something that's going on a lot at this time.
Yeah, it'd be a rare character.
Yeah, it'd
be a special character kind of. And then, but you're thinking, it's like, well, if you're playing a role playing game, then the characters that you're putting in your group are special characters because they're the heroes and they're doing these extraordinary things.
Right. So
saving the galaxy and doing all of that stuff. So it's like, well, yeah, if there's a, you'd think, hey, they're going to have special abilities.
Right.
So, yeah. Whether or not that is to the extent of like a Jedi or something like that, that's kind of up to you to build that, So, Brandon said he's liked the edges. He's got a suggestion though: the deep thoughts should cost a Benny, not just once a session. So,
that's a good suggestion. I may put that in there because since it is any power, it should cost more than just be. It should be limited to once per session. But yeah, I think that's a good observation that it should also cost a Benny. So, I will probably make that adjustment. Thanks, Brandon.
Well, and we'll probably be talking to these guys more about some of that stuff between now and then. Anyway,
the more game testing we do, it'll probably be like, yeah, you might need to spend all your bennies to do that.
Right, depending on what it is. Cool. Well, did you have any more that you wanted to cover on that, or?
I think that's it for now.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, then that's our little preview for some more stuff that's going to be in the Counterblast Savage World stuff this week. And I guess you'll probably put some stuff together for next week too. We'll have in the next episode.
Sure.
We'll keep kind of previewing these a little bit and getting some of our thoughts out there about what we're going to be including in the new book. Let's see.
Might talk about some of the powers, the actual Counterblast powers.
Yeah.
That because there's a handful of powers that I've come up with for Counterblast to add to the ones that are already in the Savage Worlds core book. So yeah, I may do that.
Right.
Yeah, we can talk about Moxie. Oh, and there's something else. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, there's several things that we could talk about in the upcoming show. So, yeah, we'll definitely be talking about Moxie, and there's a couple other things, too, that are unique to Counterblast, and we'll see what y'all think about them.
Yeah, and for a lot of folks that are watching the show either live or that aren't familiar with like the Counterblast setting, as much as we are because we talk about it a lot. We can also kind of cover and do kind of a brief overview of some of the new species and things that are specific to the setting, and some of that type of thing. Because not everybody's going to know what a Shrinar is. And all that, and so might want to kind of spotlight. It's like, okay, well, here's a little overview of, here's the different Shrinar, here's the Alani, and the different versions of them, and
we can talk about all that stuff
and kind of put that together. So I know that you had put some little graphics together of some of that stuff.
How long do you want this show to be?
Well, I mean, it's like it's like an hour, but I mean, so
I'm trying to come up with a little bit of stuff each time. So.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like we could we'll look at it and see depending on what kind of stuff you want to do. Yeah. Well, maybe that's a cool idea too. It's like do a YouTube video with the
history of Counterblast.
Yeah, and or like the setting, kind of an overview about it, and I could do a slideshow, that's got like a bunch of the art, and we kind of show some examples of things and all that. I know that the first version, the only really YouTube video that we have out there about Counterblast is Brett and I put a little gameplay video together of the first edition of the tabletop game, and
that'd be kind of fun to show them that.
Yeah. Well, I can link to it. It's on YouTube out there.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if that was something that was just to the Kickstarter or what.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and like if we're gonna, and that's a good idea too about putting a video together. But it's like we'd kind of want it sort of short because that would be something that. Like you normally put on your Kickstarter page, like when you go to the Kickstarter thing, and it's like you can watch the little video, and there's kind of a little slideshow, kind of like the beginning of like the director's version of Dune, where they show you like here's the Planet Atreides and all the and it's like, well, we can
this and here's the that.
Yeah, okay. we can actually do that.
That'd actually be pretty neat. I like that.
Yeah, and I kind of want to do that, for the Kickstarter anyway, so that we can put it out on YouTube
and then we could just and y'all get to. It'd be a sneak preview for everybody.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
So
I'd like that.
Yeah, so I'll look at that and see what we can work up with doing a little animated thing, for sure. So, yeah. Okay, so speaking of Counterblast and the characters and all that stuff, and Neiran specifically, here's a quick shot of our Neiran Ambassador that I've got kind of in a rough. This is a what I call a blocked out pose. Okay, so I just got all of the shapes in the pose that I kind of wanted to put him in. He's, as an ambassador and as a Neiran, he's got, attitude. So I figured his pose should reflect that. So yeah, I was kind of happy. It's very, casual kind of, look for this. I didn't really want to do, because he's a proletarian, I didn't want to do something that was like really actiony with like his blaster out and all this kind of thing. So he's just kind of standing there with his little data pad and all that. So I've got this worked out. I've still got to go back in and put some details and do some costuming, fabric wrinkles and just all that sort of stuff. And then I got to sculpt his hair, because now that I got him posed, I know kind of what his hair is going to do, and so then I can kind of detail that out. But yeah, that's what I got on that so far. Ooh.
Oh.
So I forgot to turn that off.
Uh-oh.
So that's probably another call about an offer for buying our property, which we're not selling. So Brandon says he's not amused. So yeah. So this is actually the first guy, because Vicky was asking me. It's like, well, hey, I need a couple of little guys that I can put in the scenario that you're running at the show. Okay, so I got.
Oh yeah.
So
Let's talk about that.
I got Urzarl done. Okay, right. So he's printed, and I showed you guys pictures last episode of the prints and things. So we're going to get those cleaned up and send those out to Nick over at Metal Oak Castings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But then you were like, hey, I need an ambassador guy.
Yeah.
And so I went and I looked, and I kind of wanted to do like a little 3-pack of these guys. So this is going to, like, when these come out, you're going to get 3 of these in a pack. So you'll get the ambassador, this guy. You'll get the Neiran merchant, okay, which I have some old designs for, and I'm going to kind of update that. And then I'm going to do a new vizier.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to get all 3 of those, and they're all male Neiran because they're proletarians. And so you'll get those in a little pack of 3. So I'm going to start with this guy, and then I'm going to do the other 2 later on, and we'll put those out as a 3-pack. And so what did you want to talk about on the scenario that this guy's in? What did you want to say?
Oh, well, I just wanted to talk about going to North Texas RPG.
Okay.
And we're gonna be there as vendors, but we're also we submitted 2 beta testing game sessions.
Yeah, there's 2 different game sessions.
One is going to be the session that includes the Neiran Ambassador guy, and I'm really excited. I'm starting to get excited about it because we checked on the, there were like 4 slots per game session, and so I guess when they first kind of started notifying everybody about the show, they let like half the people, they opened up half the slots for people to sign up and say, hey, I want to come play this game. And then they kept the other half for closer to the show. Well,
it's closer to the show.
It's closer to the show because it's about a month out, if that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I was like, well, did anybody even sign up, right? Because I'm like, I don't know if people are going to, what's this? Yeah, I've never heard of it, or they're beta testing this game. But anyway, I asked Pat to check and see, can you look and see if people have signed up for this game yet or whatever? And he's like, yeah. So we go look, and they both, they're full. I mean,
they sold out.
They sold out of them, and it's like, and not only that, but there's like 2 folks who signed up for both sessions.
Right. Because they're 2 different scenarios. Like,
yeah.
Okay, the first game, let's see, I want to say Thursday morning. Okay, because you're running 2 events. There's one on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, and then there's another one Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Okay, so the Thursday game is called Is Anybody Home?
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be fun.
Okay, and so tell
for me, I mean, I don't know.
Well,
hopefully they'll have fun.
What's the
What's the synopsis?
Yeah, behind the first one.
Dadgummit, I wish I'd have gotten that ready. I have a write-up for that. Does it show it on there?
Yeah. I just thought you might know just off the top of your head.
Well, I mean, I can give them a general thing.
Okay, well, it's loading. Okay. Okay, it says, investigate the mysterious and ominous loss of communications with remote mining outpost Alpha 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So they've lost communications with the
Alpha 2 outpost, yeah.
Alpha 2 outpost.
Yeah.
And so this little band of PCs is going to be tasked with going and seeing what happened and, find out what the problem is. And I'm sure, it's probably just some kind of glitch with the communications or something. I mean,
right. It couldn't be anything, right?
It's probably nothing.
It's nothing. It's a down transmitter or something, right?
Sure. That's exactly right, I'm sure. But anyway, so they're going to go check into that. And then the other session, and that one's called Is Anybody Home?
Yeah.
And the other session is called The Enemy of My Enemy
Can be a problem.
Yeah. Can be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And
it says here, safely escort an enemy ambassador, right?
Yeah, the Neiran Ambassador guy.
Right. To meet with the Galactic Council.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that's
the Neiran Ambassador is going to meet with the Galactic Council, and so the PCs in this case are going to be tasked with getting him there safely. Because surprisingly, there's some people that don't want him talking to them. So, or vice versa. I don't know. But anyway, so...
Yeah, and so you said you wanted... We're going to paint up some more Neiran, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you wanted this little ambassador character, so when I had sculpted...
Well, don't give it away now.
What?
Don't be giving away stuff.
They're not playing the thing. It's like... Well, I mean, it's not spoilers.
They might. You never know.
Yeah.
It's like, I know what's coming.
Yeah.
So,
well,
okay.
I mean, and it's not like you wouldn't still have fun playing the thing, but okay.
Okay.
But so I put the ambassador together. Okay, so we're going to print that out and paint one of those up to play in the game, and then we want some Zu Zurah, right? Clan Sisters. So we've got Clan Sister models right now, and one of the Clan Sisters that I had sculpted kind of has a little bit of a Zu Zurah kind of look to her anyway.
Oh, okay.
But I thought, well, I kind of want to push this. So I want to talk about some of my thoughts behind what I wanted to do with the designs on these things. So so we got the Neiran Ambassador here. Let me see if I can go to the thing. It's not talking to me. There we go. Okay, so here's my little preview of one of the Zu Zurah figures. Now, these aren't going to be modular like the other Clan Sisters are. These are going to be monopose, which is, it's just going to be like a single figure. But you're going to get 3 of these in a pack. So I'm going to sculpt 3 different ones, and they'll be armed a little bit, differently each, and costumed a little bit differently. But this is kind of my base model that I did. And we'll pop over here, and I'll show you the actual figure for her and do a little turnaround. So... I've picked out some influences because the Zu Zurah are like Neiran fanatics. They're fanatical about Aoth, right? And Neiran,
right,
baseline purity, whatever. So,
yeah, well, yeah, they believe totally in the deity Aoth's empire,
right, and
so,
the domination of the Neiran Empire,
yeah, and that
right?
the Neiran should dominate everybody and all that kind of stuff, and so there's not a lot of room for negotiation and peace in their minds,
right? So I went out to the internet and I found some reference pictures of stuff that, and so there was these, they're called mantillas, whatever. I don't know, but anyway, it's kind of like a Spanish headdress type of thing, and
that's
so I found some pictures of this, and I was like, man, those are really kind of cool, and it's
that's very Neiran-y.
Yeah, and so I thought, well, I'm going to try to find a few pictures that would
Oh wow.
Well, and it kind of reminds me of in the new Dune movie the Bene Gesserit. Okay,
yeah.
so because they have these these veils and these kind of things, and doing a sheer veil, as a sculpt for a mini, it's like we can't really do that. So
you have to paint the sheer.
Yeah, and it's like if there's a face under it, it's like, well, you have to paint the feature. I don't know. So it'd be kind of weird to just have them, completely covered.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, well, so I want to take sort of this look and kind of combine it with like Septa Unella from Game of Thrones,
more
right?
militant.
Yeah, so she's got kind of this habit, or wimple kind of a thing, right, that she's wearing. So I went back and I looked at some of this stuff as a reference because I really liked that kind of, all you get is just like this little framed part of her face. Like the rest of it is just like this full on headdress kind of a deal. So I looked at some of those pictures and I thought, okay, well I can kind of Neiranize that, and I gave one of them like this kind of a headdress, and then we were also talking about like because Neiran as like Neiran as a culture, they're the Jabad and the Clansisters and everything really have like these big full manes, like they want to be like giant warrior chicks in battle, kind of a deal. So I think that the Zu Zurah, we talked about this, is like, well, they should like braid or shave their head, or have some kind of like a side shave thing or some kind of undercut
shave or something
to differentiate them as
their sacrifice to Aoth. They shave part of their hair off or something. It's like because to Neiran, like shaving all their hair off would be
right,
really bad, and you're in disgrace and all that kind of stuff. And
and when they become arts, that's one of the things they do.
They shave their hair off. But the Zu Zurah partially shave like one side or something, and then it's like, well, I'm sacrificing this to Aoth. So but I still have I still got my mane over here on this side. So
or braids.
All my braids and
or some kind of thing like
whatever.
that. Yeah. So we'll probably flesh a bunch of that stuff out in the setting stuff for the book, so that you guys have a little bit of background and everything for like what that is for the Neiran. But I kind of wanted to do a little pack of these three clan sisters that are Zu Zurah that are like, okay, well they've kind of I guess define that look for them, so that okay, well instantly it's like, oh yeah, I know what that is. So anyway, so I'm going to do this one. Then I've got a couple other little sculpts that I'm going to do, and I'll pose it up. And then hopefully next week I'll have another update for you on what how they're coming along, because we want to get them printed out and painted and stuff for the games, so that or for the events, so that we can take those to the show and have them as part of the event there. Yeah. So Dave was asking, let's see, and let's go back to the chat thing. For 2.0, is there a chance of revisiting the stat cards? Some were with the Lunchbox starter box, but lost track since then. Well, yeah, and there's yes and no. Okay, I've got to do some research on that to determine what we might be able to do as far as printing cards. What I'd really like to do is create a PDF file that has all the stat cards for 2.0 in it, and go in and revise that, and then just upload that as a PDF over onto the Miniatures Vault, and then you can just print on demand like a little set of cards for like all this stuff. But what I wanted to do was have kind of a archive of like all the art or the pictures of everything, so that I could actually put that on the cards. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work that would be involved on finishing the rest of that stuff out. The stat cards that we did initially were kind of for the lunchbox set, so it was like we wanted stat cards because
we had size limitations.
There was a certain amount of space that you could put in the book, and so we thought, okay, well we'll just put their stats and stuff on cards, and then we can put all that stuff in the lunchbox set. And it was a lot. It was a lot better, to get it to fit in that kit. Okay. So print on demand would probably be the way to go. But what I need to go back to those files and then see what was missing, and then add the stuff that we didn't, do to kind of fill out. That's like, well, here's a full set of Lancers. Here's a full set of, like every thing that you get in the book, like all the different factions, stuff, the robots and everything, and fill out the rest of that stuff. And basically it's just a matter of taking the stats that are in the PDF or in the file and just pasting them into the little card layouts and then uploading that. What?
Will those have to be restatted? Because were those for 2.0 or
Yeah,
were those
no,
for...
it was 2.0 because we did the second edition book and we did the lunchbox kit, and so that's all the same version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, if those are first edition, we'd have to update all the stats on.
Yeah. No, it's the stats that are in the second edition book.
Oh,
so,
okay. Whew.
Yeah. So it's just yeah. So we'd have to go back and do that. But yeah, that's a feature that they have over on the War Game Vault is the print on demand card decks. So it's like where you just buy the PDF and you can pick print version. They'll print the card deck, package it up, and then ship it to you.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so there's a bunch of games out there that feature that kind of thing. But it looks like we're running after 10, and so it's time for us to go do the breakfast thing and get on with our Saturday. So I appreciate you guys for popping in again this week. And
thanks for hanging out with us, everybody.
Yeah, we love it. Thanks for letting us prattle on at you about Counterblast and with the new sculpts and all that sort of thing. So we certainly appreciate you being in the chat and hanging out with us on Saturday mornings. So if there's any, did I miss anything? Was there anything else you want to tell them real quick before we go?
I can't think of anything. I think we've covered it.
Okay, great. All right. Well, we're going to drop out here and let you guys get on with the rest of your Saturday. And hopefully there's going to be a lot of hobby stuff going on and, painting or around the house catching up and all that like what we're doing here. So we will see you guys next week in our next episode.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.